Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Trudi show. And we're here tonight with Matt and Adam, and we're going to talk about a few things. But first of all, if you've not got registered yet, we encourage you to go to www.panhandleexpo.com, get registered for the event. We need to make this the most epic event that's ever been put on. Let's get 1,000 people registered, get about 800 there. And
give me a heart attack?
let's make it big and put her on the map one more time. But we are here with Adam and Matt. They have a podcast that's called Slinging Sauce. I was told it's slinging shit today. But it's Slinging Sauce, and they also wash. They're in two different areas, but kind of in the same vicinity, but kind of two different areas. But we're going to let them get started. We'll start with Adam and let him tell how he got into washing, and then we'll jump over to Matt, let him tell his little story. And then we'll go in and talk about y'all's podcast. Then we'll jump in here and we'll go on talk about the Panhandle event. And if y'all come, if y'all been to one of them, and tell what your experience was, anything that we can do to improve on it as a visitor coming in, wanting to learn different stuff. And we'll go from there. So, Adam, it's all you, man.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for having us tonight. Trudi and Anthony, I started back in 2020 when COVID-19 was happening. My wife and I at the time had owned a fitness franchise, and we went from doing almost a quarter of a million to $500,000 that year to losing about $25,000 a month. And so when COVID set in and our franchise paused everything, we basically looked at each other and we're like, what are we going to do to make money? And I was like, well, I got a little pressure washer in the garage. And my wife goes, what are you going to do with that? And I was like, well, I saw some guy on YouTube say you can make a lot of money doing this. So next thing I know, we were out knocking doors, and fast forward, we just celebrated 5 years about 2 weeks ago. So
you had a big fancy trailer when you started out, right? Ain't that what you told me today on the phone?
No, actually, I started with a 2.5 gallon per minute little pressure washer that I dragged around in my Nissan. About 6 months later, my buddy helped me install a 5.5 gallon per minute, and we put that in the trunk of my Nissan Altima, took out my back seats, put a 50-gallon holding tank back there. I carried around a 5-gallon bleach bucket in the trunk, did that for another 6 months. And then, one of the things I learned with the fitness studio was that borrowing money can get you in trouble, right? So even though we were making really good money, I think our last year we did a little over 400,000. We still had 500,000 in debt. And so we walked away with almost $500,000 in debt. And that's one of the things that really destroyed us financially. It was a strain on our marriage. It was a strain on everything. And I mean, we both had really good careers before that. I was an Army recruiter making, $70,000 a year. My wife was a doctor, making really good money as well. But when everything happened with COVID, she didn't go back and practice. She decided to join pressure washing full time. And so we both work in the business now, but we ended up getting a little 4x6 trailer, pulled that with the car for another 6 to 9 months. Until I started to feel the motor going out on it, from pulling all that weight, because I had 2 5-gallons on there, 400-gallon water tank, all my hose reels and hoses. And so my dad called me up and he goes, you know what, son, I want to buy a new truck. I was like, okay. He's like, I'm going to sell you mine. I was like, let's go. And so he ended up selling us his for about $9,000. Whereas if we were to go buy one, just on the street, not knowing, how they treated it, what they did to it. I knew my dad took care of this truck. He'd had it for 16 years. And he barely drove it on the weekends. It was his weekend warrior. It was his RV truck. And it only had about 100,000 miles on it as of 2003. So I was like, okay, let's go. So.
Yeah, because then you couldn't find a used vehicle.
No, not during 2021. No, not at all. And if you did, it was like $17,000 for a car that's 21 years old. And you're like,
yeah,
that was like $4,000 a week ago.
Yeah, all with over 350,000 miles on them, it's like, oh, no way. Not paying for that. It's crazy. Yeah, it was crazy times. And
So she just decided not to go back into practicing doctoring and just take the leap of faith and join you in the spraying water, huh?
Well, yeah. So what it came down to is she went back to work, and I was working a part-time job, and we were trying to manage all three things, right? We were trying to manage our work, plus pressure washing, plus scheduling, plus answering the phones. And one of the things that we set out to do when we started this, that we got a lot of people that said we were really good at, was customer service. Mm-hmm. And when we weren't able to pick up the phone because I was out washing all day while also working full time, and my wife was also, working full time, we realized that it was actually more of a hindrance. And one day I went and did a job out in an area here called Mount Pleasant. And I came home with a check and I showed her, and she goes, "That's what I make in 2 weeks." And I was like, "Oh, well, that's just one house wash." She goes, "So why am I working?" And I was like, "Good idea." So she decided to quit, and 2 weeks later, she was answering phones. And the month that she jumped on board is when we actually doubled our revenue. So, cool. Yeah, someone to answer the phones. Like, that's what you need, right? Someone to actually pick up the phone and do an estimate and send it over.
So when I have this question a lot, I know I've been mentoring this guy for years, and he's like, "I'm just ready to quit my job. I'm just so terrified. I'm terrified. I'm not going to make it." I'm like, well, the thing is, when you have no other option, you have to make it. You have to pay the bills. You have to do this. And he's just like, "I'm just terrified. I hate my job. I want to do this full time, but," and I'm like, "Set yourself up." And he said, "I've been doing that. I got 6 months ahead on my mortgage. I got this. And I said, "Well, why are you scared? Why are you scared? You are 6 months ahead of the game." You know how many people don't do that when they jump into this? Yep. They don't. And, they go out and they buy a $20,000 trailer because YouTube said they can make $1 million in the first year without doing nothing. It's like, So I said, you're really ahead of the game. And so when, you just said you guys kind of figured out when you were making more from washing than the bills, but yours is a little different because it happened over the COVID shutdown and all that.
Well, but the one thing that I will say is with what you're saying, to kind of go back with him with, is how much do you make in a day washing and how much do you make in a day working your job, right? So when she quit, I was still working part-time at Coca-Cola. Yeah. And we looked at it and I'm like, look, at Coke, I make $120 a day. I go wash one house, I'm making $350. Why am I working full-time? And that's when we were like, if I wasn't working full-time at Coca-Cola and trying to wash on the side, then I could have done 2 houses today and that would have been $700. Or I would have had 4 hours to go out and market and go do door to door. And so we knew it was time to leap when in one day we were making what I made in 4 days at my quote unquote job, right? Which a job, what does that stand for, right? Just over broke. It keeps us employed. It keeps us like working the system. Whereas when we jump out, we do take that leap. The other thing too is when he finally decides to quit the job, that safety net is gone. And then he's going to go work even harder on his business than he ever has.
Right. Exactly. I told him, I said, you've set yourself up financially. The only thing that's holding him back is scared he's not making money or going to make money. I said, well, you won't have another option. So it's going to make you go, drive it harder and hustle harder to get it, and you'll have time to do it full time. Just think what you're doing 2 days a week on the weekend. Yeah. And you put that to a 5-day and you can have your weekends back, You
just got to jump and build that parachute as you go down, because that's what we did. Mm-hmm. I mean, being in so much debt, like I was like, maybe I just work a job for the rest of my life and just keep my head down. Mm-hmm. But I was like, this is my third business. Like, I'm not going to do that. So that's why we decided to make it a full-time thing and actually keep growing it. And to be honest, I'm thankful we did, because I tried to go back to the military, but they wouldn't accept me because of the amount of debt that I had. And so I couldn't get my old job back with my security clearances. And so they wanted me to drop rank from an E6 to an E4. I spent 10 years in the Army to get to that rank. I'm not going to come back in and be treated like a toilet cleaner when I was the guy telling people to go clean the toilets at drill, So That's when I decided I really had to make this thing happen. And that was back in 2021 when I tried to re-enlist. So that's when we basically just went, all gung ho and just dove all in. So
we have Luke Carpenter and Alan Smith on here. There's a few more guys, but those are the guys that saying hey. So hey, Luke, and hey, Alan. Anyways, let's go to Matt. Tell us a little bit about you and how you got into washing. And
all right. Well, mine's a little bit different than Adam's. I did not. I did not have a gym, and this is actually just a product of COVID, really. So, I moved to Charlotte in 2008, and I've been cooking since then, since even before then. So I was 16 years as a chef, and COVID kind of shocked every industry. But what it really did was kind of recalibrate a lot of people in the industry as far as cooking goes. Heightened expectations, but everything comes with a cost. So, I mean, we were seeing 23 to 27% of inflation across the board on everything that we did, whether it was meat, vegetables, or consumables, because like to-go containers were through the roof. And the people that were kind of detached from that still had the expectations of prior to COVID. Like, why are the numbers all jacked up? And it became a lot harder and a lot more stressful, and you had to be a lot more creative, and it kind of lost the passion for me. So I decided that it's just time. Like, and it bothers me because I know I'm still a chef at heart, and it's still a craft that I'm always working on. But the thing was, I was looking to start up a home service business, because it's kind of similar to if you go to a restaurant. It's, you're paying for a service, you're not paying for a good. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing. Yes, you leave full, but at the end of the day, it's still a start point and an end point. You don't actually get anything tangible from it. So I was looking at other home services. I was like, at first I was like a maid service, because at the time I was like, to start up a maid service, it could be like $600. Like, it's $600 and a couple of door knocks. Like, that's really how you get started with maid services. So that one just was, I was like, oh, no, I don't know if I really want to do that. And then pressure washing just kept popping up, the YouTube rabbit hole, pressure washing. And I was like, I think this is some higher power telling me to just try this out. And being that we weren't, my wife and I, we were able to save some money up during COVID. We started off with a pretty solid foundation when it comes to the trailer. Started off with a pretty large trailer, and I had a couple buddies that worked at golf courses. So we got like a lot of our plastic containers, we had a 300-gallon turtle shell, I called it, where it was one of those water tanks you used to put in the back of truck beds that actually had the wheel well in it. So it looked like I had like a little dome on the back of my trailer, and it took up like 80% of my trailer, just because it's not meant to be with other things. And then I had a buddy that was also in the food world, and when I started joining groups, he saw my name popping up, and he's like, "Oh man, are you trying to start pressure washing? Come with me, I'll show you how to do it." And
oh wow.
And yeah, that was awesome. So he's also in the Charlotte area too. So I went on a couple of jobs with him. I'm like, this is awesome. I love this. Except the fact he didn't have hose reels. And I was like, that's changing immediately. I will start with hose reels. This is obnoxious. So
I got to start somewhere.
Yeah. So I was very fortunate to start off. I started off with I started with the Simpson 4-gallon that you get from Tractor Supply. It was like on sale for $900, and really, really terrible hose reel. And I went through 3 of the, like, 1 Simpson and 2 Predators in the first 8 weeks of me opening my business. None of them ever hit the 40-hour threshold. They all just fell apart, and I was like, you know what, we're just going to jump into a 10-gallon. We went in a completely different direction. But that was kind of the push that I wanted. I wanted to start my own business, but I wanted it to be, something that felt reoccurring, and that you could, whatever energy you put into it, typically it was received out financially too. So that's why we jumped into pressure washing too.
Yeah. We were pressure washing and decided to open a retail store during COVID. So I did the total opposite. So, we are really happy when we get a full order, because we had so many supply issues from day one. Like when we get a full order, it's like Christmas over here. I mean, we got these little crackers we pop. There's confetti everywhere. We're just having a party. It's like everything showed up. Because we were not used to that. Like we'd put an order in for like 100 items, different items, and we'll come back. Well, we've got 8 of those, and the rest are back ordered. And it's like,
oh no.
So, when we started, we had all these different brands, but we don't sell anything we wouldn't use out in the field. We've been washing over 20 years, and so we're really picky on what we put in the warehouse, because if we're not going to use it, we're not going to give it to you guys to fail. So, we had to just dig. It was a lot of on the phone for me trying to find out who had what. I can get 5 of those guns from over here, and I can get 2 from over here, and I can get 3 from over here. So I'm like all over the place. So we had a bunch of accounts to get all our stuff, and now we went back down to, pretty much buying direct from everybody. It was just a nightmare. I don't know who thought it was a good idea to do that. It was my husband, but it worked out.
As a redhead in the South, I don't know why I decided to start a business that requires me to be outside for extended periods of time.
Yeah.
So, I'm gonna kick somebody's ass.
We do some crazy things.
We got David Rivers on here now. Delgado's Pro Wash, Rolandus, and Chris Berkner's here. So hey guys, there's more people here to just everybody else just say what's up. So now you guys' podcast. So now I know you guys hosted me, and we're hosting you. So I mean, Anthony and I just decided to do this after the event. When I say we decided to do it, it kind of pressured me and kept hounding me and calling me, and so I did it.
So, she harassing me.
So anyway, but we both like to give back to the industry. We both like to educate and help and answer our phone. I had another guy here today, and he's like, "Thank you. It was about a chemical," and he said, "I called you at the company, and nobody's gotten back to me. And I know you always you always answer the phone or call us back right away. I know you do that." And I'm like, "Well, you're standing on a job, scratching your head, and I've been there when we're back in the day when something happened. I've been there, and it's either roll up and leave or pray to God somebody has an answer for you that you can get a hold of." So I like to be available for that. And I know Anthony, I've sent him some people, like there's that TPO Roost. I'm like, Anthony's cleaned up. I have not touched one of those. I don't do that. So I'm not going to give you answers to something I don't know about, because I only listen to half of what Anthony says. So he'll give you the whole story.
I love it. Love it. That's awesome.
Roast.
You guys started the podcast. What was the reason?
You want to take this, Adam?
Sure.
All right.
Yeah.
So we joined a like-minded pressure washing Facebook group that we were sold on for $1 or $150 a month. You get
we
to
won't
join
say
them.
any names.
We're not saying any names. They are based in the South, though. But their whole premise is we'll get you to the 6 figures. And basically what it was is just a bunch of reshot YouTube videos with their people in it. Like, it's really nothing that you couldn't find on your own accord by Googling what your problem is.
Yep.
The one thing that they did do that I think is very successful, and I
Took you money?
They did
Yes.
that. They did that.
They did do that.
They did do that. But the one thing that they did really well is they promoted, like, get yourself an accountability buddy. Like somebody that's either in the same kind of situation that you're in, or somebody who's like a little bit higher than where you're supposed to be. So it's like somebody that can either hold you accountable with like your goals and aspirations. And at the time, Adam was, he still is a little bit further along than I am. But I was like, I'm new to the group. I'm looking to do this. I'm based out of Charlotte. Adam reached out and he was like, "Hey man, how's it going?" And from there, we've talked every day pretty much. And that was 3 years ago.
3 years ago. Yeah. And what's funny is I kept telling Matt on the phone, I'm like, Matt, I was like, I really want to like just start a show or a podcast that educates people, but doesn't have any like secondary thing to it. Ulterior motives. Because all the podcasts we'd listened to at the time were, hey, this is who's going to sponsor this and why you need to buy it through my affiliate link. Or this is the group you have to join if you want to make any money in your business. And so
here's your problem and a financial solution.
Yeah.
And it's like there was never really any kind of grassroots, just like, hey, here's a group of people that are really passionate about the industry or just want to help other people out and succeed, flatten that learning curve. So we were just like, what if we just started a show? And we joked about it. Like, I think we met in like August or October of 22, and we joked about it for like over the Christmas time. And we were like, well, it's kind of slow. We don't know if anybody's really going to be listening. And then I was
I remember, Matt, I kept talking to you about it, and you literally just called me up one day and you're like, hey, by the way, we're doing this. I got all the softwares. So go buy yourself a mic and some headphones. And next thing I know, we were doing a podcast. So it was pretty good, though. It was pretty good.
And the timeline was kind of like, it was right before the PWMCA event that was in Orlando. So we were like, hey, we want to get a couple of shoots done before we actually go to the show so we can, network with people, say we have a show, and kind of get like an idea of what the show is going to be like. And then it was one of the greatest things that we've done by going to an Orlando show, because one, we learned a lot, got to meet a lot of awesome people, but two, it kind of pushed us a little bit further along, and we got to talk to some really awesome people that kind of opened that barrier up, and just it showed us that like people want to talk about it. It's not that they want to keep this information to themselves. It's not like I know this secret sauce and this is my recipe and no, I don't want to tell anybody. But the people that want to help other people like actually grow their business, not just I'll tell you this if you give me $49.99 for this sheet that has your layout for your trailer. That's not what we wanted. We wanted to have, like, even to this day, we're still unsponsored, but we want to just have good information coming without a misguided agenda.
Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, that's the reason, when we started, there was nothing. There was no YouTube. There was nothing. I mean, there were some forums out there. You just have to sit and read, and it took you hours to find whatever you wanted to learn about. I am texting somebody and telling them all this. Okay. Sorry, Darren. I almost gave you a whole thing. Anyway, so we started going to the free training events. I think it was 08 was our first one when they started coming out, and then they were awesome. And that's what it was like. These people are just giving you this knowledge, and they've been working for years, and now they're just giving it to you, like here. And other people are like, come here.
Yeah.
And it's just like, but now, back then they could have charged you for that because there was no other way to get it. And they were still offering that for free. And, washing, and we went to several, and then I didn't go to a paid one until we had Panhandle, because we had a booth at the Huge once. Won't do that again. The Huge is great as a vendor to go walking around and talking to our suppliers. As a contractor, I didn't see any value in it at all. As a contractor, I'm probably going to get hate mail or something here soon, but for me, I didn't find any value in it as a contractor. PWNA, I liked the PWNA. That was a great. They did do the education. They did have paid speakers, but it wasn't like you had to go. You didn't have to go listen. But it's that one I like it because it's more about education, and they're turning more. They're doing more hands-on training, and I've partnered up with them. They've been at mine the last few years. So, and I'm on their educational platform now with the paint issues. So, I've got down there so people can learn about it from me, and they know how to contact me, and I can answer their questions. It's probably why my phone's been ringing a lot the last few days. But when I opened Panhandle, that gave me the platform to give back, and that's why I started doing these events. And I'm not making money off this event. I'm paying the bills. So, with the help of the suppliers, and those venues are not cheap at all. Yeah. And then they add everything. there was a extra trash in the dumpster. We had a bill for $250. You know, I was like, oh crap.
Wow.
We didn't. It's in the dumpster. I mean, now we know.
You had to pay an extra charge for them to come out and dump that dumpster.
Yeah, I know.
Do
So,
a dumpster dance. Stomp it down.
Because their tenants couldn't get their trash.
I know.
Their condos.
Big contractors there, they can get up there and do the dance.
So y'all been to different events and stuff.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Adam said he's been to the Panhandle event. Matt, have you been?
So I haven't done the Panhandle event. I had some stuff going on last year when he went. I had some larger projects going on in November, so I was unfortunately unable to attend. But Adam has talked nothing about it except for high praises and saying, "Hey, we need to do one too."
Yeah. Yeah.
Adam, with that being said, from the Panhandle event to any other events that you've been to, what do you get out of the Panhandle event that you did not get out of other events, and what's something we can do as far as a contractor coming into town? What's something we can do to make it better for a contractor in your eyes?
So one of the things that I took away that I think I kind of harped with Matt about was hands-on training. That was one of the biggest things. I know I've heard the PWNA does that. I've never been to one of their shows, but I've been to the Huge. I've been to the PWMCA more than once. And I didn't get any of that there. I didn't go to the PWMCA this last time. But the one time I went, it was all classroom stuff.
But that was the home service thing. That was like
it was completely different.
Once.
Yeah.
Like that was a lot to try to consume in a very short amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, but with the biggest difference I took is it wasn't just sitting in a class all day and listening to someone talk about how good they were and how they did what they do or how they invented something. It was actually hands-on. Here's how you do parking lot striping. Here's how you stain. Here's how you do paver sealing. I loved that Green Oxford New was there because Ron Jones and I mean, we go back. You know, he lives out here in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina, right down the road from me. I'm there at least twice a month buying product from him directly. Super nice guy, very well educated. I'm sure Trudi can also say that as well. But I had mentioned my painter ran into a neighborhood here that had like 7 or 8 houses that had the whole paint issue going on. And I reached out to Trudi. She was happy to connect with my painter and that homeowner to kind of figure that out. And I know that they connected about a month or 2 ago, but that was something also is like Trudi was able to talk about the paint issues that have been going on. And we were able to kind of learn more about that because I just heard it in passing. I hadn't ever looked into it. I test spot every house just to make sure because it's becoming more and more relevant here because all the luxury builders like to use these, high quality paints, they call it. But we're seeing more and more issues with it. So it was that, but the biggest thing I think I would say I took from it is the hands-on, and then also the happy hour. I know it sounds weird, but like going into that arcade and that restaurant and bar and being able just to network with everybody, like that's one thing Matt and I did the first night of the PWMCA that we went to in 2022. And that's how we got our first 21 guests on the podcast.
Yeah, it was
is
at least
networking.
The first 20.
Yeah, just meeting people and being like, "Who are you?" "Oh, I'm Sean Baker. I own Baker Soft Wash." "Oh, who are you?" I'm Jared Chanowski. "Who are you?" "Oh, I'm Lee Ray from Tennessee. You probably don't know me, but I clean the Titan Stadium every year." "Oh, wow, that's freaking cool. I want to interview you. Let's go." He's got 9 trucks, like he's killing it, but he's like the under the radar kind of guy. Like he's not out there bragging about what he does. He's just doing it. He actually, I think they're 7 years in the business now and they've got 10 trucks, 12 employees, and they're cleaning stadiums 3-4 times a year.
Crazy.
It's those guys that aren't out there trying to sell something. They're just keeping their head down and just making it happen, doing $3 to $5 million a year, So it's really cool to like meet those kinds of people at events because you're like, wait, you do what? Like, that's so cool. Like I was talking to you earlier, Anthony, you're like, you clean how many McDonald's? Like, that's the coolest thing ever. Like, I want to do that. I want to grow up and be like you someday.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I don't know about that.
Funny thing about Ron Jones, he is brilliant. I mean, he is just brilliant. And I got a phone call, and I had this. He goes, I've got a Green Ox question. I talked to Ron Jones, and he said you were the expert. And I'm like, do what? I'm like, what? Ron Jones said what? And I'm like, what? I was just like, and
he's the inventor of it. Yeah.
Yeah. I couldn't. It just wouldn't sink into my mind that he said that. And I'm like, oh wait, about using it on, like on different surfaces, substrates. I'm like,
That's
okay,
probably,
I get it now.
Yeah.
But I was just like going, my first thing, he's like, oh, he said you're the, I'm like, but he invented, like, how am I the expert? What is this? But no, it's just different substrates that I test and make sure, because if somebody calls and say, hey, will it work on aluminum?
Yeah.
I want to be able to say yes or hell no.
No. Yeah.
You know? And I said,
spray it on, figure it out.
When I test these products for not only for the paint issue, which I've got, but Citrus Shield, I've got once my doctor releases me to do something other than sit here and type, I'll be able to test that. But when I test it, I don't only test it per instructions. I test it like, Joe from Chuck in the truck is going to say, oh, well, it needs to be a little hotter.
Close your eyes and count.
It's going to sit there a little bit longer, and I'm going to watch it, and it's not doing anything. So, I test it that way as well. So if people need to know, I'm like, okay, so I tested it, and if you follow instructions and don't let it dry, you're good. But if you let it dry or you don't dilute something, it's going to etch the crap out of it.
Yeah.
Yep. What not to do. So, I know how far you can take it. And like Green Ox, you're not supposed to dilute it. I diluted it to see if it can be diluted, because somebody has a 400 square foot fence, and they want 1 gallon, and they're going to make it go the whole fence, So, I want to know how you can dilute it. And I have done 50-50 on a very light stain. And I do. I think that's, what Ron was saying is like, I don't say, oh, I think it can, or call Ron. I'm like, no, let me see here. I got something, pump it up here. So, that's.
I'll tell you, I actually use it 50-50 on a dock here, but it's because I clean it every 2 months.
Oh, okay.
So it's a restaurant. And what happens is when they take their trash out, their little trash bucket drips the trash crap all the way down the dock.
They work so good on restaurant grease.
So they have little like black restaurant grease spots all the way down this 240-foot long dock. All I go do is I pump spray it just on the little dots. I wait 20 minutes because it's on the water, it's humid, and I just rinse it off, and it turns out great every time. Like every time.
It is great on a lot of things. I don't think, except for raw aluminum. I haven't seen anything that I haven't.
It's great on dumpster pads too.
Yeah.
Oh
yes.
my God.
Yeah.
You're talking about the Grease Ox or whatever.
Green Ox Renew, yeah. It's just expensive. Like if I could get it for less than $10 a gallon, I would use it on everything. The problem is, their costs are going up and stuff like that. And they're well over, I think, 30 a gallon now. I think he just sent an email out. So
it is, yeah.
Now he did tell me when I was there last, hey, if you buy 255 gallons, it's only $10 a gallon. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, but then I'm spending $3,000. Like, so I get it. Like, you want to get rid of it, but
I tried. They tried to sucker me down at the Panhandle on that deal with some Apple Wash. I give you a good deal on 55 gallons.
Oh, really?
You tried to get rid of it?
I said, yeah, it better be a good deal.
Yeah,
$100.
There you go. But going back to what you said, Anthony, I think what was different about it is the hands-on aspect, and then also it wasn't just someone sitting there preaching at you, right? So I know that second day there was some classes, but it was classes that were actually interesting and something that people needed, like your insurance lady who talked about insurance. Like, that's actual stuff we need. And if you're out there just like chucking a truck and then you blow out someone's window, are you covered or are you not? Well, so they told me most insurance companies aren't going to cover that kind of thing. Right. And so you got to make sure you got the right policies and you're covered and stuff like that. So it was cool. Yeah.
I got one right before the event happened. It was probably a month, I think it was. We was cleaning a service station, had the signs out slippery when wet, pressure washing, not responsible for injuries, blah, all this stuff. Stay back 100 foot. Girl comes in, the store opens up the door, slips off her croc, and Busted lands right on her ass. Well, she gets up, she stands at the counter. I go in, you all right? Well, I fell, hurt my hip, blah, 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 all this stuff. Well, she leaves the store. She comes back, taking pictures. Well, she messed up right there. She left the scene for number one. But anyway, is it Connie? Is that her name?
Connie, yeah.
The insurance lady?
Yeah.
I told her about it, showed her the picture. She said, the thing about it is everybody involved is going to get sued. She said, you're going to get sued. The store franchisees or owners going to get sued, and the gas company is going to get sued. So if she presses it, she can sue all of you. Is she going to win? Probably not.
Okay.
So
yeah.
No matter what you do, what you put out to protect yourself, as I seen it, because I said, so I'm spending money on signage that ain't going to do a bit of good.
Yeah.
Because I can block off the doorways, and they're going to go underneath the tape. They're going to step over whatever.
I had caution tape wrapped around pumps, and people literally just walked through it. And I'm like, like it's 1 o'clock in the morning, and I've got caution tape up cleaning this gas station, and you're just gonna walk through it like a crime scene. Like, do you want to be dead? Because I can shoot you with some bleach. Like, I'm kidding. But no, like it's just people have no awareness of their surroundings.
But I mean, we have like 5 signs, and we put them all around the parking lot. So I mean, I know they can see that pressure washing's going on.
Yeah.
And you're washing here, and they want to park right here.
Jeez.
And then they get out. You spraying bleach?
Yeah.
I'm like, well, you don't see the sign, and that pump's actually closed because it's got a tarp over it.
We had one. We were doing townhomes and doing, all the townhome buildings and the sidewalks. And there were signs everywhere. They've been notified, and we just finished. And all of a sudden, this guy goes to send his pictures to us because they've got our business name all over the place, and sends us his rims. This guy, it's all pitted out. All his rims are pitted out, and wants us to replace his rims. And we're just like going, how come none of our rims look like that on our work truck? Like, how did that happen? And like, well, it wasn't like that before you came here. And we're
Did you look at it before?
Yeah, like, no, you just want new rims. And so I think it was only just one rim, but he wanted all 4 new ones. And the property manager said, you know what? Don't even worry about it. It's not even. But yeah, the insurance is crazy. And, we're inviting her back again this time because a lot of people with the paint issue, especially, I make a post and everybody's like, that's what I've got insurance for.
Yeah.
But we had a local guy, this poor guy, he's local to us. He's so sweet. And he said, you always talk about this, but I didn't believe you. And I'm like, no, because I'm going to just make up stuff and tell everybody some.
Who's making shit up?
And I'm going to go behind you and spray green stuff wherever you test spot because it's not real. But anyway, so he not only changed the house, but his overspray ruined all the stain on the decking. So this was probably I think he said it's like $65,000 for both to fix. And he kept calling me, and I'll tell him all the information I have. And then he's like, I don't know what to do. I didn't even think this was a thing. And I'm like, I've been telling you this is a thing. Anyway, so he's like, I don't know what to do. And I'm like, he said, I'll call you back. I don't know what to do. So he gets information from me, he calls his insurance agent. They're going back and forth. And he calls me, he goes, they're not going to cover the house. They're going to cover the deck, but they're not covering the house. And I'm like, what? He goes, well, I wasn't hired to clean the deck. And I'm like, well, if you ruin a deck, to me, that's negligence. I'm like, it's backwards. When I wash a house and there's a deck, I wet the crap out of that deck and keep it wet. And then if I damage the house, it's a job that I'm hired to do, and I should be, it's not negligence because that's what you're working on. for me, it just seemed backwards. But
Yeah.
he said, I thought my insurance covered it, and they're not going to cover that. And that's when I started thinking, I'm like, I wonder how many other guys don't know about this, because, you know, we've emissions and errors, I think, is what you got to have added onto your policy, I believe. So,
Okay.
So, you know, I asked Connie, I said, do you want to come and do you want to speak? She said, I would love to. And of course, I put her right after plant and property protection and my paint thing, and I put her right after. I'm like, now tell them what you're not going to cover. But she had a bunch of slideshows, and she was so funny. She had one. Did you see that meme that went around, or somebody posted that the hood of their car was all like paint, the paint was all peeled up? And somebody said, I think I used too strong an SH, and she thought that was real, and she put it in her slideshow.
Oh, no.
Nope, it doesn't happen. No, our stuff does not make that happen. And she's like, oh my gosh, she said, it's on there. I'm just going to have to tell them that it was a joke.
Yeah.
I said, if you have a question about a picture, send it to me. I'll let you know. But she was great, and that was very viable information that a lot of us don't know.
Oh yeah.
Even guys who've been in business for years. So
My favorite meme one is the vinyl siding where they have the grill next to it and it just melts the siding.
Yeah.
And they're like, I think I used too hot a mix.
Yeah. No, well, actually, I've got a thing on mine that it's actually, they hit a electrical panel and it set it on fire right behind the AC unit. So I'm like, ooh.
I did that to an outlet.
Yeah.
I had a client. He's like, hey, he goes, I'm not home. I'm on vacation. He goes, I know it's an old house. He goes, I'm replacing some of the electrical outlets. You'll see I've got tape on it. Okay. He goes, but the ones I haven't replaced, just be careful around them. I'm like, okay. And it had the outdoor box on it. Well, the water went behind the box, and I just saw.
It wasn't it wasn't a GFI though on it too.
No. I just
They
saw
smoke too.
I just saw flames shoot
smoke.
up. So I banged on the door, and his son was home, and his son went and turned the power off. And I like took the whole thing off, and I pulled it out, and the wires were just completely sheared, like bad.
Oh,
And I took a picture and sent it to him. He goes, "Oh, you're good. I knew that one would do it."
Like, thanks for letting me know.
Yeah, like thanks for letting me know, bud. So
the weirdest thing I ever had done is I was washing this house, and it wasn't crazy old, but it was old. And I was washing it, and the guy runs out, and he's like, stop. Water's going through my AC vents and is falling on my dining room table. And I'm just looking, going, there's nothing here but a dryer vent. And I still have no idea how that actually even happened. Like, there was windows, a dryer vent, and I was watching it down, and he's just screaming, stop, it's coming in. I'm like, I'm not even spraying enough to, like, I mean, I don't get it. I mean, I don't know. I still don't know. I've never had that happen again. First time it happened, I don't know. Maybe his wife was up there in the bathtub and I mean, I don't know. I can't imagine it came from what I was doing outside. It just blew my mind. I'm just
that's crazy.
Yeah. So weird things can happen. It's crazy.
I've knocked out people's internet. That was the weirdest one for me. I was rinsing, like when you start a vinyl house and then like all that stuff comes and just sits in the bottom track and it just like keeps overflowing and looks gross. I just was rinsing it out, and he came out in a hubbub, just like, how are you doing this? I was like, I don't know. You tell me. And he's like, well, I think I hit it with a weed whacker a while ago, and it's acting up. And I was like, that's not my what?
What?
What's that gonna do with me?
They called and said electric was out, and no power to the whole entire house. So we have an electric guy that's an electrician, our friend, and he went out there and he's like, I don't see anything. And they ended up calling the power company, and a squirrel had chewed up the wires out like on the main the power pole. So I'm just like, okay, good, that wasn't us. But it's just so many weird things we get blamed for. What about you, Anthony?
Camera. got missed on it. It wasn't even a direct hit. It happened. I should have covered them up, but the ones on the back, there's no way you could get them because they was 40 foot in there.
Oh,
What he wanted back there for on the side of a bluff. I don't know. I guess he wanted to catch the bear coming up, getting on his porch. But it was the one that was right beside his garage out front. And we just spraying, and you could see when it went out. It was just a mist that got on it, and it said, it went out.
Was it a ring? Was it a
got
ring or
through the
something?
house. And he was like, he come out. He's, man, you're doing a good job, but I got bad news for you. And I knew what he was going to say right then. $650 house wash cost me $340 for a camera. Plus, I had to pay my man out there to help me wash the house. So I made nothing off that house that day.
So was that a ring camera or something different?
It was just a security camera.
Security camera? Wow.
And but I blasted one because I didn't see it. It was tucked up in the corner, and when I walked around the house, I missed it. And when I was washing, and I was like, and I went over it, and I thought, oh God.
Wow. So I've never had an issue with ring cameras, but I was washing a guy's house one time, and he goes, please be mindful of the 9 cameras I just installed. And I'm like, what? And come to find out, he ordered 9 cameras on Temu. And so he got them for like $27. Well, he wrote us a 1-star review because after the house wash, he said 3 of his cameras stopped working. And I'm like, well, bro, like I'll pay you $27 for your cameras. Like, it's not worth a 1-star review for me. And he's like, oh, well, it's not about the cameras. It's about having to install them and take time out of my day to have to do it and rewire everything. I was just like, oh my God. But yeah, he installed these 9 indoor cameras outside his house.
Oh, no.
He can't blame me for it. So, and when I went back and was like, I would have replaced them or paid for it, and I would have paid for installation. He's like, oh, it's too late now. I'm like, well, I can't make it right if you don't let me. You know,
That's just funny. You're talking about Temu, and it just popped up on my phone.
Maybe listening.
They're listening. Yeah, I don't know. Are they going to get hit with the tariffs too, you think?
Mm-hmm.
No, it's directly to you. It's directly to you. You don't
Man,
have to worry about it.
$27 cameras are going to be $32 now. What are we going to do?
I know, right? All right. That's crazy. That's funny.
Yeah, so there's a lot of weird stuff. I had a rat jump out at me. I was downstreaming, and a rat just jumped right out. I guess some of the downstream went into the thing, scared the living daylights out of me.
Mm-hmm.
I had a bat hit me in the junk.
A bat? Well.
So I was
We don't know what you was doing.
So I was doing a roof wash, and it was right at the pitch, and they had the soffit, and I was just doing a roof wash, so I had my ladder sitting right at the peak, and I was spraying, and just it had like we wouldn't get any of that spot wet, but I think just the smell of it caused it to wake up, and it just flew and hit me right when I was standing on the ladder, and I was just like, what just hit me? And I looked down and I see the little wings, and he just got like went to a little art fixture that they had, and I was like, that was a bat.
Very little said, man, just sitting down for steak and see these fellas on here.
Nice.
So yeah, I did that. I stepped on a snake because the houses are here like 10 foot apart. So I'm like getting into
Would you step on an anaconda?
No.
Burmese python.
Things.
Burmese?
And I'm spraying, and I can feel vibration. I'm like, oh, I'm stepping on my hose. So I kind of put my foot and kicked it back, and it's snake. And I swear I could have won the Olympics. And just, I ran and jumped over bushes that I would never have done before in my life.
Wow.
But I made it to the truck in record time. I don't know. It was probably just not even a poisonous snake, but I wasn't even going to attempt it. But no. Yeah, I was.
What'd you do when you got to the trucks? What I want to know.
I went woo up and then calmed down. I just took it all off.
But did you go back and finish the job?
Of course.
Well, why'd you leave your post for anyway?
It startled me. I was expecting my hose, and when it rolled back,
Come on, Army Sergeant. She left her post. She abandoned her post.
Oh no!
Oh no!
And it was a nasty house too. Oh, it was nasty stucco house. But I think the surprise. I love all live animals. I cannot. So I've got chickens. I love my chickens. I love the eggs right now because they're
I got ducks for the same reason.
But when one of my chickens die, I'm almost in tears. I call my son. I said, "There's a dead chicken." He's like, "Mom, you do this all the time." And I'm like, "I know, but it's dead." It's like, "It's not going to hurt you." I'm like, "I can hold it alive. I'm just not going to hold a dead one." I don't know why. It's weird. If I see a dead rat, I freak out. So, well, unless they jump at me or I step on it, then it's a different thing. But if it's walking around, I don't care. I'm not girly like that. If it startles me, then I just, I'm doing the 10 meter in like 2.2 seconds, hurtling over bushes.
Yeah, that's funny. I actually had one where I had a helper with me one day and we were cleaning this house and I felt something land on me and I kind of went to swat it and it went away, but then I felt it again. And then I felt like something poked me. So I went like that and it was a bee and it stuck me. Well, then I looked down and I started like swatting my leg, and there was actually an entire swarm of bees on my leg, and I ended up getting stung about 12 times. And I remember calling Matt and freaking out because they were actually called ground bees.
Yep, ground bees.
Yeah, so they actually form under the pine straw. And I ran to the front door and started banging on the door, and I'm like, "Do you have Benadryl?" I was like, "I don't know what to do." My hand started swelling up shut. My other hand started swelling. My legs swole up to be like that big, and it was insane. And so I took a Benadryl, went to the car, drank some water. My guy kept cleaning the house, and she's like, "Yeah," she goes, "I told my husband to take care of those about 2 months ago, but I guess he didn't." I'm like,
no.
"Oh, great! So you know
I'm
about
fixing to. I'm fixing to drown them in SH.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We had a job like that, and Shane's like, "I ain't going back there. There's bees." And I'm just like, "All right, honey, you're going to do the front." So before I went, I just doused the whole yard. There was no plants. It was just nothing but punch straw. So I doused it. And I quickly, put my chemicals on there, got out on the asphalt out there waiting for a minute, and then click my button and run out there and spray it down. And then I'm okay, I'm done. But he's like, "I ain't doing that. I'll just leave the job." I'm like, "We're here. You do the front, I'll do the back, and we'll be fine."
Yeah,
So just get it done. But they do not like that chemical.
that's true. It was scary. So it was scary.
So anyway, Matt, are you going to try and make it this year?
Yes.
Matt's
the
going.
goal is
You are
the goal
going.
is
Okay.
this year.
So
I'm gonna pick him up and drive him down there.
He's gonna drive 3 hours out of the way to then drive.
Yep.
Well,
I have no excuse this time because
That's a true friend.
Yep.
I kind of revealed my hand saying that I can drive a lot in one day, so he kind of called me out on it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, my husband can't. He's 45 minutes and he's sleeping. So yeah.
This is in October. This is kind of shows like if you're in it to win it, like you gotta the proof's in the pudding. So as everybody knows, Mondos are just extremely hard to kind of come by right now. Like even still to this day, they're really hard. So in October, I had a giant parking deck we did right out shy of 700,000 square feet. So I wasn't going to do it with a 20-inch. So I ordered a Mondo, and the company that we ordered it from didn't have them, but they took my money gladly. And then they told that then it didn't say back order, didn't say anything. It was just, and I waited the weekend and I reached out to them and they were like, "Oh yeah, we don't have them. It's probably 6 weeks out." And I was like, "I start this in 3
days."
Like no, I paid for the rush shipping and all that other stuff. So I found that Manatee Pressure Washing, the store down in Sarasota had one, and they had a hot wash. I wanted to try to get them both at one time, and I run a 10-gallon. So a 10-gallon hot wash isn't the same as a 4-gallon hot wash. Yeah. So I told him, I was like, "If I order it today and I get it tomorrow, could I drive down and get it tomorrow?" And he's like, "Absolutely." So I drove from Charlotte, North Carolina to Sarasota and back in a single day. Left at 3 a.m, got home at 12:01.
And you know what? We probably had it and you went right past me.
Probably did.
Well, it was at that point I was in freak out mode. I was just like trying to find the first person that had it got it. I was kind of at that point.
No, Manatee's awesome. I work with all the pretty much most of the vendors. We pretty much work together. If I don't have it and you need it, I'll call and find out who does. And they do the same, and we work together because it's all about the contractor. And full circle back to the event. I mean, that's what the event's for, is for the contractors. And without them, we wouldn't be able to do it. And without us, they would have a platform. I wouldn't have a platform to be able to do it without them. So, the support just goes hand in hand with each other. And I love, networking with my fellow co-washers. I call them co-vendors and co-washers, co-contractors or whatever, because, I'm a contractor at heart. That's what I've done. That's what I did until I decided to
break your neck.
Until I tried to slow down so I wouldn't break my neck. But I guess whoops. Yeah, so, I was on the truck pulling a trailer, not a truck, 7 days a week. Well, 6 days a week. And then I had the internal cleaning business 2 days, on the weekend. So I did that for 17 years, working 7 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
And I was trying to slow down, and
you did the opposite.
The damage was done by that point. So, but anyway, I've got a new titanium neck. I'm ready to go. And, I told somebody, I said, yes, Shane gets mad and throat punches me, the joke's going to be on him.
Whiplash, what's that?
I know. He never punched me in the throat. That's why he's still here. But anyway, no, I'm excited. We're going to actually have, we've got window washing classes here. We've still got the striping. That's going to be a more intensive class the night before on Tuesday. And then we're going to do paver sealing, but we're going to do a more intensive paver sealing, where they show you how to resand and everything. And we're going to have that. There's a couple more. We might have a couple more. We're not sure on that more intensive time. While we're in there busting our butts setting up, they're going to be out there, educating you guys. And then the website up here. So we have, which we didn't have last year, we have a designated website that's going to give you all the information, any updates, the registration's there. It's not going to be, a whole bunch of craziness. Last year was the first one that we did by ourselves, and it worked out great. There was a lot of little things that we could have done better. So we brainstormed and said, what do we need to do? And it actually worked out great. So we're making it more techie, and everything's in one place. The schedule, everything's going to be on that website. We're going to be able to get phone numbers to tell you, hey, there's a change. So when we had the cancellation last year, we had no way to tell everybody. So I was kind of like the whole day running around yelling at people, time to go here. And I was all over the place. I should have put my Fitbit on to see how many miles I walked, but it's going to be way more, like I said, techie, more informational. If you got questions about the social, we're not going to be doing it at the bowling alley. We're going to be doing it at the Charlie's next door, the restaurant right there.
Okay. Yeah.
So reach out to them. They got the bar. The food was amazing and reasonably priced, and they have a band and everything. So
cool.
I kind of panicked last year because it was like 700 people. I'm like, well, we got two options, and then the bowling alley was good, but it was kind of, as soon as everybody started coming in,
it was small. Yeah.
But I think they have an outside area here, so I'm going to talk to them and make sure that's still good to go. But I mean, it was. Did you eat there, Anthony, at the grill?
I think we did. I'm not 100%
Is that
sure.
the one on the left side of
Yeah.
the shopping center?
Yeah.
Jeremiah and I went there the last night. My buddy that I went with.
Mm-hmm. It was good food. We had.
It was good.
Yeah. So we'll let them know, and we'll say we're going to do the social Wednesday night again, and just make sure you're fully staffed, and get some bartenders up there. So we're good.
Nice.
And I like it just because it's you can walk.
Yeah.
If you can right there, everything is pretty much walkable if you want to. You don't have to, but pretty close. Better than the last location we had. Everything was just so far away from the venue. It was a nice venue. It's just so far away, but.
I love it.
All right, so we got Justin Admire said, love window cleaning, picking up a lot of ceiling jobs recently too. So we are going to have the circuit training with the ceiling is going to be seal and lock. So they're going to come, Delgado Pro Wash, he's going to come and do training on that. And then what else? We got the window washing. We're going to do
It's May the 10th, right, Trudi?
Yep. No, that's May 10th is when they're going to come here. They're going to be doing it at the event too. So we do have a what is it called? My brain is just dead. Oh my God. A customer appreciation day at Panhandle, as well as Seal and Lock's going to come and do some training. And we are going to be having a crawfish boil at the warehouse. That is May 10th.
Oh, cool.
So everybody, I'm going to put announcements out. We've got a couple out there already, but we just need everybody to register. I know there's a Google link that's going around on Panhandle. I'll have to get it. And just to register, just so we know how many crawfish to get, because I know you can't share one between a couple guys. So we need to make sure we got to get a few bags of those. So I like crawfish. I just don't like all the work and the spice. So. Yeah.
I love it all. I'm like,
I love it all. Matt can come home cook it.
Yeah. Well, we got one of those big old huge king cookers that dump out.
Cook it all at one time, then dump it out.
Mm-hmm. All right, guys. Well, you guys want to sign off and say close it out for us?
Yeah.
We actually.
There's something that we want to do because we do it every time in our show. I want to bring a little bit of Slinging Sauce to you guys. So. We like to ask anybody that we have on our show, what's a famous quote or a quote that you say to yourselves, or a mantra, or like a little words of aspiration that you either take to yourselves or tell your guys that kind of get you through the day?
To motivate you.
Me is stay humble and hustle hard. I know you guys doing that one around.
There it is.
I guess mine may undo all things through Christ.
Oh, I love that.
Good one.
Philippians 4:13, right?
Yep.
I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Yep.
But the other small plug that we'll do for the show, though, is if you're looking for some just consumable information at your own pace, you can just put it on while you're cleaning or anything like that. We do we kind of say major, minor for what we do. Major is home service-based business ownership. Minor is in pressure washing. So we get people in all different walks of their journey in pressure washing. We get guys that are weekend warriors. We get guys that are running millions of dollars in pressure washing. There is no wrong way to do it unless you're losing money. So we get like the branding guys, we get all kinds of people on there. So it's not just a pressure washing podcast where we're going to talk about what's our favorite pressure washer and all these other things. These are going to be actionable items that you can use in your day-to-day business and hopefully find some inspiration from other people, not just us, that'll help you with your journey along the way.
Oh, somebody said trying is lying. You either do or you don't.
There it is.
I love that. That's
Yoda
good.
says there's do and do not. There is no try.
Right. So yes, the seal and lock at the customer appreciation, it will be videoed and it will be put on the YouTube channel for others that can't be there. So guys, thank you so much. And I know we're gonna come on your guys' show here closer to the event whenever you want to. And I'm excited. It's like the battle of the podcasters.
There's no battle. There's no battle.
Unite.
Collaboration.
United. I was like, there's no battle. Like, we're just all. That's when Anthony and I was going to do this. It's like we just want to have people on and just sit around like we're sitting around, hanging outside with a beer, just being ourselves. We're not selling anything. I mean, sometimes we have people on like today. Is pretty much what's the topic. Well, we'll talk about it.
On the way.
And we did. We talked about property damage and the craziest thing that happened to us. And I hope that bat recovered from hitting your junk. I'm sorry that happened to him. But anyway, I'm going to say goodnight. Anthony, say goodnight. You guys say goodnight. And we are
good night.
Peace.
Good night, y'all.
Good night, guys. Thank you.